thanks everyone for joining. We are really excited to welcome you to the 2021 Chicago Black Booth Alumni Association brunch. This is an annual tradition that we're really excited to continue. And as we start our program, I first want to give a major thank you to our Reconnect Planning Committee, both Sydney and Major. We have invested countless hours and are honored that you decided to spend your time with us today. First, we will get a kickoff from our former co-chair, as well as 2008 alumni, Bridget Anderson, for a historical look back.
Good morning. My name is Bridget Anderson, and welcome to the third annual Chicago Booth Black Alumni Reconnect Brunch. I'm excited that you're all here virtually, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge everyone in the room: alumni, students, new admits, prospective students, faculty, staff, friends of CBAA, and members of the broader Booth community. The theme of this year's brunch is empowering Black voices. But in order to be empowered, you must first be informed. For context, the Chicago Booth Black Alumni Association began as a steering committee in April of 2004. The group quickly formed into a larger, more structured affinity organization with a vision of building a connected community among Black alumni that optimized knowledge, skills, relationships, and talents to individual and collective success. CBAA has worked diligently to promote community through a variety of professional, civic, and social programming. Over the past several years, CBAA has hosted happy hours, volunteer days, town halls, panel discussions, and the Reconnect Brunch. While we are disappointed that we can't meet in person this year, I can assure you that much thought and care has been put into producing an event that will leave you feeling enlightened, engaged, and thought-provoked. It is my sincere intent that you will leave inspired and forge new connections that will last a lifetime. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Awesome. So now I want to introduce our lovely board. For those who I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Candace, class of 2019, and I'm the national co-chair. I may or may not be planning a yacht party for us in the future, so look out for more details. Next, we have Azibe, who has a actual famous #famous kids, and yes, his smile looks like that in every call, and he leads our national campus partners and student liaison. Next, we have Fritz, who is our regional lead for Greater New York, and he's cool, calm, and collective, and always comes ready for the revolution. We have Hen from class of 2019. She leads our D&I Fund co-founder along with Fernan, and she's also our regional lead in DC. Hen has lots of wisdom, and we have to lean in to hear her because she doesn't speak above a whisper, but we still love you, Hen. Next, we have Aaron. He is our National Development and Partnerships Chair from class of 08, and he likes to have a glass of wine when we chat, and it's lovely. No judgment in our group. We have Cheney as well, who is from the class of 2012. He leads our National DE&I Inclusion Chair, and Cheney is always the one that keeps us on task when we start debates about Teslas and different models. Last but certainly not least, we have Major Thomas from class of 96. He is our National Programming Chair, and he brings our swag, our creativity, and great wisdom. So I'm really excited to just share the board with you. We've gone through quite an adventure of trying to build community in the challenges of virtual world, but again, we are really excited to continue our journey together with you all. So next, before I pass the mic to our MC and moderator, Christine, we want to take a moment and celebrate the life of our classmate and fearless leader of the CBAA community, Courtney Hall, from the class of 2003. Courtney was one of the smartest yet down-to-earth alumni that we had the pleasure of working with. He'd been a pillar in our community and an advocate for our Black alumni, as well as Chicago Booth as a whole. He wanted to see action, and he was committed to being a partner in moving D&I efforts at Booth. Please join us in a moment of silence. We will miss Courtney dearly, and we ask that you keep his family in your prayers and thoughts. With that, I will pass the mic to our MC and moderator of today, Christine from class of 2020, who will give us an overview of today and kick off our panel discussion. Take it away, Christine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the virtual CBAA brunch. I am so glad that you are here. I am so pumped to be here. I cannot wait to get into the discussion. We have some awesome discussion questions prepared for you. So we're going to have this discussion. It's going to be short. We have a lot to cover, but we're going to try to cover as much as we can in the 45 minutes that we have for our discussion. And we have some powerhouse, I'm talking some powerhouse esteemed alums on the panel for our discussion today. And then after our discussion, I'll pass it over to Hind and Cheney to talk through upcoming programming. And then will also have some closing remarks from our Deputy Dean Starr Marcello. And then we have the owner and operator, Liz Abuna, who's going to take us through a really exciting activity. So really excited about what we have planned today, and really just want you all to be engaged and lean in. Definitely take notes, grab your drink of choice. And let's just get into the discussion. I'm really honored to be moderating this. I think it's really, really significant that we're having this discussion today. It's been a little bit over a year now since COVID-19 was declared a pandemic. And we've seen a lot of changes. We've seen a lot of impacts. We've seen a lot happening in this last year, and following the murder of George Floyd, we saw one of the largest protest movements in history emerge. And to even take it a little bit farther back, in this year, 2021, we are marking 100 years since the massacre of the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Greenwood District, which was called Black Wall Street, right? Which was, just this amazing emblem, this symbol of what happens when we bring our economic and our human capital power together, was massacred. And we are still living today in a world where systemic racism is a reality in all spheres, especially in our sphere of business. So I think it is very significant that we're having this discussion today. I want you all to lean in, take notes. We will have a few minutes at the end for your questions. So just really engage. The good thing about the Zoom room, right, is that the chat. So let's make sure the chat is popping. Like, put your questions in there, your comments in there. Let's make this as engaging as we can make it. So I'm so excited to introduce our powerhouse panelists. First, we have Rodney Jones Tyson, who is from the class of 1998. He is the Chief Risk Officer. Come on, C-Suite. Chief Risk Officer and Managing Director of Baird. We also have Pierre Priestley from the class of 1993. He is the Associate General Counsel, of Investment Property Exchange Services. We also have Jasmine Richards from the class of 2011. She is the Head of Diverse Manager Research at Cambridge Associates. And last but certainly not least, we have Elizabeth Williams from the class of 1996, and she is the managing partner of And Minds. Feel free to use some emojis or reactions to welcome them. We have such a powerhouse group of people today, and I'm gonna just jump right into the discussion. So the first question I wanna talk about relates to what it looks like for us as Black people to show up in business outside of DE&I efforts. So we know that there are things, especially if you're kind of in the larger corporations, there are employee resource groups. There are a lot of formalized ways for us to kind of show up and really fight for diversity, equity, inclusion. But I want to talk about ways outside of those formal efforts that we can use our spheres of influence to empower Blacks at our organizations and to advance and open access to Black people in business. Does anyone want to kick off with starting to answer this question? Or I can definitely pick someone if not.
Christine, I'm happy to start it off, and then let others certainly chime in. So first of all, thank you all for arranging this. It is good to be able to see lots of our people together when we can't be in person, but hopefully next year it will all be very different. And I also appreciate the recognition of Courtney. I just had the pleasure of meeting Courtney a couple of months ago, and he had a huge impact. And so this is a real big loss in a very short period of time. But thank you for acknowledging him. You know, I would say that for those of us who are not in a role in which it is specifically about I&D work, so unless you're chief diversity officer or engaged in inclusion and diversity activities, I think we show up as non-DEI people every day we go to work. I mean, it's about what we're trying to do of being the very best at whatever it is we have been asked to do, and to do that first. And then alongside of that, in parallel, is work that we may choose to do around the DEI front, what is more interesting to me is when I have colleagues who are people of color that say, look, I really don't want to be about that. I don't want my life and career to be about the I&D work, as if there's shame to it. And my view is there's no shame to it. This is who you are as you came into the office, and you can be recognized in both ways. You can be recognized as a very stellar professional, and you can also be recognized as a person who champions change. And that change can come in all sorts of ways. But to say that you can divorce one from the other, I mean, that's kind of hard, because every day that I go into go in the office, every day that I show up for work, they immediately see a Black man. My issue is, how do I manage any perceptions around that so that that doesn't become the only topic, but the topic is about what am I absolutely capable of delivering for this company, for our shareholders, for clients, for my other associates that report. So I think it's about both.
Yeah, I'm glad you started it off, because I was gonna say, I think it looks like Rodney, right? Like, I think we all got the Booth magazine that had Rodney, and we were like, oh, who's this person, right? And I think the work that I do sort of straddles both sides, right? So my role is focused around diversity, but in sort of a non-traditional way, right? Look at it from an investment lens, and it's sort of hard for people even to get their heads around that. But I think what it looks like is putting diverse individuals in roles that aren't necessarily diversity related, and then them being excellent at those jobs, so that we start to combat some of those images. I will say that I think even for all of the talk that we've had over the last year, right? Like, I will still walk into meetings where we're talking about portfolios, and there still is the implicit assumption that if we do this, right, like we are sacrificing returns, or we're getting products that are lesser than, right? Like, and even with individuals who are well-intentioned. And so to me, I think it is important to have representation in areas that are not diversity focused, and have those be excellent, so that we start combating those just implicitly. And I think in terms of where all of us sit, it's empowering those individuals, right? Like, my firm is currently looking for a CFO, not a head of diversity inclusion, not the new head of HR, right? Like a CFO. And if you think there isn't like an underground campaign to make sure that that person is not a, Irish person from Boston going on, right? Like, you would be wrong, right? Like, I think what it looks like is amplifying each other's voices, and making sure that we have that great representation.
I think that Rodney, if I may, Rodney brought up a great point that I was thinking as well. Outside of the DEI status, we just show up. There are, for all of the issues that we're going to discuss, that we're discussing now and that we'll discuss today, the answer is seldom going to be one size fits all. The answer to Black empowerment in business, our overall theme, will not be just one way. It won't be just DEI. It will be folks, most of whom are on this call, just showing up to work and doing their job, regardless of whether they're doing it in the DEI framework, or just, they just needed a job and they're just going in to make a buck. But if you do it well, and you represent, then you are, by default, you are helping, you are enabling, you are empowering those of us who are trying to break in and show that we can do the job too, including the CFO of an investment firm. So I think, Rodney, I really want to just echo your comments that there are a variety of approaches here. That's just one, but we all have to work towards the same goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, Elizabeth, did you want to share something? Or...
Well, good afternoon. I'm sorry that I'm late. Forgive me. I'm generally military prompt. I have teenage girls that are juniors in high school. And I would say if anyone's raising children whilst trying to manage a professional life and everything else, that I'm oversubscribed. So forgive me, I'm generally military prompt. So try to forgive me. It's not part of my brand to be late. I will wait to make a contribution to the next question, but I just wanted to thanks for the invitation to participate. And it's so good to see so many of you guys online representing such a vast range of experiences across the years at the GSB booth, whenever you graduated. So thank you, Christine.
Thank
So,
you.
Christine, before we move on, can I ask Jasmine to talk about the underground activity to ensure you get, because we've gone through the same thing at our firm about how to create the underground current to make sure that candidates of color show up on the list, because it's all about, you got to get on the list, because if you don't get on the list, there is no way to have an opportunity. Jasmine, can you share how that has worked at your firm and what you've encouraged people to do?
Sure. What we've started to think about, I think that we have tons of databases, we have tons of headhunters, all those sorts of things, right? Like, but I think by and large, what all of us do is still extremely based on networks and socialization, right? And so it's what we've started to talk about at our firm is, yes, it's great. We want to sponsor Twigo, we want to sponsor SEO, we want to sponsor MLT, right? Like, but what I think is really going to be impactful is getting people that are underrepresented in those senior roles, because to me, what happens is, I think you need to have people in places of influence and advocacy. And so what has happened is, I think informally, at least for us, we have had conversations, right? Like with our entire executive team, it's and putting people in power and saying, okay, who do we know that can do this? If anybody on this call knows of a talented CFO that's looking for an opportunity, please send me their information. But it's having people inside the firm that can, simply send an email and say, hey, we need to talk to this person, because that's how it works, right? Like, we've all seen it work on the other side, where you've had an open role and someone just says, oh, this person's a good guy, and everybody, right? Like, and they just walk on in. And so the point is, if that is how it currently is going to work, then we just need more different voices in those conversations. And so it's putting together an informal short list, supporting those people when they come in, as well as like prepping those people, saying, here's the person you need to speak to, here's the points that I would hit, prepping people, right? Because there is still a lot of informalness, I think, to how all of this works. And so what I've seen be impactful is when you have people like Rodney that can say, hey, all of the sort of senior roles, those don't get put on LinkedIn or in, Career Builder, right? Like, it's knowing about those and advocating and making those connections ahead of time. And I think that that's really how we end up, making change. And then I think it gets the flywheel going, right? Because that person now, in of themselves, is representation. We've all remember when we were in school and going through recruiting, and it's one thing to say, hey, we want to have women or we want to have people of color at this firm. But if I walk in and I don't see those people, or I don't feel like I'm going to be supported when I get there, that's not necessary. I think, especially in this environment, something that's going to look attractive. So I want to be at a place where I can see myself, where I feel like I'm going to be advocated for. And so it's like having those, knowing the right people to speak to and making those connections is what we've been trying to do. And calling different places where we know that we can opportunistically poach people that we think are going to be strong candidates and come in and be, represent well. So that's, I think, what we've been doing. So it's important to have venues like this where we can all connect.
Can I just follow up on that, Jasmine? Because I think, that's a great great illustration. I had an experience in a prior lifetime. I worked for General Electric, or GE Capital specifically, and they have an affinity organization, at least they had. I can't speak to it today, but this is going back 25 years ago. They had an affinity organization, the African American Forum, and I found that to be, it didn't help me so much personally, but I found it, as I looked generally, to be very, very beneficial to African Americans. The short story is that one of the higher up African American employees or vice presidents at the time went to Jack Welch and said, you know, Blacks, African Americans aren't being promoted. You're not bringing them into the higher echelon of GE. And he says, well, that's true. What are you going to do about it? And he says, I'll support you, but you have to figure this out yourself. Well, that to some that might have sounded a little harsh, but actually we all agreed it was the right thing to do, because if he did it himself by fiat, people's would not, you know, the folks who enjoyed the benefit of that would be looked down upon, sort of, as we hear quite often, you know, affirmative action babies, or, you know, just doesn't do any good. And the AAF allowed those of us who were in management and senior management positions, and there weren't many, to mentor and help and to inform those of us who were not in those positions but wanted to be in our career, to move them up. So it's like an underground, but this was internal. I don't know, perhaps a few of the larger organizations, companies have that now. I don't know. I work for a relatively small company, but I think that's an example of your underground, where we help each other and bring each other up, and those who are higher up mentor and tell those who aspire to be in the C-suite or close to it, just inform them what's going on, and more importantly, what's needed. Not, you can't give you the job, but I'm going to tell you what you need to do to get in a position that I'm in, and so on.
Thanks, Pierre. See, this is what I love about being part of the CBAA, the AMBA legacy community, having these discussions. We're going to keep it all the way real. We're going to have those discussions that you may not hear, you know, that realness that you may not hear everywhere else. So thank you all so much for sharing that. And I do want to zoom in on this important point about networks. Right? This is a very, very important part. I'm, you know, my background is finance. We are Chicago booth. Access to capital is hugely important. In fact, that's the focus of my startup, is increasing access to capital for women-owned businesses, but it's also access to networks. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Are we underutilizing certain networks that we are a part of? Are there other networks that we're a part of that can really impact how we show up in the business world? And how can we do a better job of leveraging all of the networks that we're a part of? I want to call on Elizabeth for this, but feel free to pass.
I appreciate the invitation. As you guys may know, we as a community, a panelist, convened a few weeks ago to prepare our thoughts on what we would share with you guys today. And it was during that discussion meandered. It was an organic, lively discussion, as you would imagine. But at that time, I shared with my colleagues that I was part of another group of people, the alumni, Black alumni of Stanford University, that is very, very active. And we have been for some time meeting every other year, biannually. At our last meeting, which was in Los Angeles, we had 500 or 600 people attend, representing every class between 1967 and 2017, with one omission. And during one of those grades, not present. So anyway, as we were meeting in one of the general sessions, I looked across the room and I reflected on the fact that in that room probably was every resource I might need as a professional working in an institution or as an entrepreneur. Every single resource, attorneys, social justice advocates, people with access to capital, entertainment folks, I mean, you name it, the full gambit of talent and resources that are established. And we don't use each other to create currency, whatever that is. If that's political power, if that's wealth for the individual or the collective, if that's advancement opportunities through our network, to Christine's point, we're not actually doing a good job of leveraging that, which in the age of social media, it's just a curiosity to me. How could that be that we're not connected and that we do not feel a sense of opportunity, if not obligation, to lift each other first? But the first step was made, at least with that group. We're convening here, you know, of course, Major and Sydney and Christine and so many people working hard to kind of raise the level of engagement of Booth alums in the Black community, because in fairness, you might remember it was at University of Chicago that the National Black MBA Association was even started. Like, we owe it to the founders who had the vision to create that community. We can do so much better. So the open question is why or how? I don't know. Starting today, this is the first step. And even in the case that it's not sponsored by the institution, how can we commit to each other today to start a community on Facebook or LinkedIn or something where we're convening regularly, if just virtually, for the sole purpose of creating currency for each other, individually and as a group. And the last point I'll say, which relates to the prior question, is it's not just advancing employment. We had a fairly robust conversation around entrepreneurship in the Black community. How is wealth creation really happening for Black folks? Is it in institutions or is it through ownership? And so while we want to raise visibility in formal roles in institutions, I think there's a big opportunity to ensure that our procurement functions have a pipeline of eligible businesses that are high quality, high talent, qualified, minority-owned, women-owned businesses that can compete for that spend as well, because we all know most institutions have spend goals and obligations they're not meeting because they claim they can't find these businesses. We know that's not true. And so this network could go a long way, I'm sure, to helping fill that pipeline as well. So let this be the first day for us to start this conversation with each other and keep it going.
I think there has to be a level of trust. You know, there's so many factors that play into this, and it's not right or wrong. It's just sort of the way it is. But you know, you mentioned, Elizabeth, being in amidst a large group of Black alumni of your alma mater, and I think we've all been in similar situations, whether it's with Chicago Booth or our colleges or churches or any organizations that we're members of, and thinking, you know, we really do have the power, we just don't utilize it. And I don't know that I have a good answer as to how to wave my hand and harness that power. It's something that has been discussed, well, since I've been in business and long before that. But I do think that I have seen over my 35 years in business that there has been an improvement in understanding that, you know, our brethren are competent, capable of have the knowledge to do anything that our predominantly white colleagues do. But we have to trust each other. That's the word I wrote down, is trust. Trust that we can go to a Black group and ask for funding for a startup, or to get honest feedback for a startup that we're starting, whatever we may do. You know, Chicago Booth has a lot of resources available to its alumni, but one of the resources that it has is the CBAA right here. You know, we've got upwards of 60 people on the line here that have so many different talents and resources that they can use to help others and others can help them. We need to find a way to exploit that and all reach over and help each other.
Yeah, Pierre, I'm going to borrow from what you've just said. First of all, I'm of a certain age where there's a song called I've Got the Power by Snap that's now going to be playing in my head for the rest of the afternoon. So I'm going to give that as a gift to all of you. It's 1990s Snap, I've Got the Power. But it's very clear about the power that we do have, back to Elizabeth's point, which is it's in this group and it's in how we approach each other. We went to University of Chicago for most of us for very specific reasons. All of us got in because we were super qualified. All of us got out because we're super capable. So I assume that if I get approached by someone that's within the Chicago community, that it's with good intent, it's positive intent. That's different than me meeting someone randomly at some kind of conference and I don't really have the background to it. So Pierre, I agree with you. We have to start with trust. But then I would also say, think about how you approach the person. So Elizabeth, I'm gonna call you out for a second, only because we had this exchange. You know, Elizabeth and I met as part of the panel. She was looking for someone in a position like I'm in for a role that that someone else is trying to fill. But Elizabeth approached me and said, hey, I've got this kind of opportunity. Do you know anyone? That's different than me hearing about it from some random recruiter that I don't know, I don't have a connection to. The Chicago booth community gives us a little bit more of an okay, such that if you do get that outreach, if someone does come to you and says, I'm looking for something, or I want to offer, because you want it to be a two-way street, that is ideal. And I would say the second thing is, I'm going to make sure I show it up. I don't know if it's going to pop up, but we've got this, it's not showing, crap. You know, our WhatsApp group, crap, it's still not showing. The Black Booth group, it's 245 people, but there's 1,100 alumni. Now there's all kinds of chatter that happens on WhatsApp. There's definitely a lot of things, but if there's an opportunity, this is how we start to leverage that in a way that we wouldn't have been able to do, because Elizabeth, we can't all get together like you all were able to. So back to sphere of influence, Christine, our sphere of influence is in these Hollywood squares right here. We just have to decide to tap it. We have to decide to use it appropriately, and then make sure that we give back so that it's not only a one-way street, but it's two-way directions.
Yeah.
And I think what I would add to that is also amplify each other's voices when I think those deals do get started, right? Like I'll give an example of I had two former colleagues that are now at different firms. One, and one of them was creating a new product at his firm, and they were going to use one of the products that my other colleague was using. And as they were working on that deal, like I think in some ways we don't network as much, but what I've seen is that the network is tighter though, right? Like it is tight once you start using it. And so he was going to her, and maybe she wasn't the go-to person, but during that transaction, I will say that of her, non-Black colleagues, I think there were numerous times that they tried to still get the deal done without giving her the credit. And he made sure that every time he had contact with them, like it was clear that I'm doing this business with your company, but this is the person that I am doing it for, and this is the person that you're going to give the credit. If there is an email and that person suddenly drops off, add them back, right? Like if you are sending an RFP, don't send it to, the general business email, send it through that specific person, because I think what we also have to do is make sure that when we're doing business, I think you have some power in those situations, and we should use it, for all that it's worth. So if I'm going to do this transaction, make sure that the people that you want to see represented are there, and that it's known that that person is not there, just because of a face, but that because of their talent, and that there's a reason that they need to be, credited for that. So I think we can also use our power that way.
Such good points. I heard engage, I heard amplify, I heard, leverage our power and build trust. All really important points. So I want to bring up a point about diversity efforts and whether we think they're actually working, or what more solutions do we need. I heard a stat recently that if you put together all of the overdraft fees that like Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, and Citi made last year, it's 20 billion in 1 year. But Wells Fargo is committing 1 billion to financial inclusion over the next 10 years. So are these efforts really working when you actually look at the numbers? It's actually kind of a drop in the bucket, or even, 10 billion Black women from Goldman Sachs, but you've had a lot of PR, but I'm a Black woman entrepreneur, I need some funding, where can I apply? So I just want to hear from you all whether you think the current efforts are working, but let's be solutions oriented. What more do we need, and how can we hold these organizations accountable? Jasmine, can I start with you?
Sure. It was taking a little time to digest that, but I think it's both, right? Like, so I think it's appropriate impatience is how I've heard it described, in that, yes, right? Like, I think that if JP Morgan is going to have advancing Black pathways and advancing entrepreneurs, right? Like, what they could also do is just forgive all those overdraft fees, right? Like, and that probably would also be helpful and not really damage their business. But I think to have ideas like that, right, like, you've got to have those people in those spots, right, like making those decisions that see that problem, first of all, right? Like, if the people deciding this don't know anyone with an overdraft fee, right, like, the thought honestly doesn't even cross their mind. And so I would say that there's obviously tons of ways to go, but I think I've gotten to a spot where I also am, I'm more in the camp of do something than like let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right? So yes, 1 billion isn't touching the amount in overdraft fees, but it's more $1 billion more than what they were doing last year, right? And so let's figure out how to use that and apply appropriate pressure to get them to continually think forward, as well as let's have that billion applied properly, right? So let's make sure that one thing that I've been worried about right now is, like, we've seen tons of these corporations also start throwing money at all these new venture funds, right? And what I'm worried about is, what does that look like 10 years from now? Because if all you did was a Google and just said, okay, who are the most popular Black-owned VCs, right? Like, the people who do the best marketing aren't necessarily the ones that are in the office investing every day, right? Like, and so if 10 years from now, those returns don't look like what they should look like, right? Like, I think we did more harm than we did good. And so it's making sure that, yes, we continue to apply that pressure, but I also am worried about being overly critical so that it paralyzes people to do nothing, right? Like, I just want to keep like forward momentum going.
Christine, I'll tell you that I appreciate Jasmine's structured thoughts. I sit on a board of a nonprofit, and the day after the decision about George Floyd's murderer, we had a scheduled meeting. We opened the floor to everyone to express their feelings. And I had a non-Black board member tell me how she thought I should feel. I realize this is off topic a little bit, but can you imagine the profoundness of the optics of a non-Black person telling me how I should feel about George Floyd's murderer's decision? It's a nonprofit music school. I offer it as a metaphor. I'm looking for proof. There's so many people wanting to participate in the optics of this moment, concerned about the omission of a statement. You see, of course, CEOs, people unrelated to social justice, unrelated to consumer products, unrelated to Minneapolis in any way. Everyone has to have an opinion on these major social events. It would be inappropriate for them not to say how appalled they are that Black people, it's undeniable now that we're treated unfairly. I find this, I feel so violent about it. And money allocation to solve that problem in the absence of outcomes or effort is unacceptable to me. So I'm not interested in hearing about the dollars, actually. I want them to follow up and say, okay, this is what actions we're taking. These are our targets. These are the outcomes. This is what you should expect. Why? Because they should. I'm not interested in hearing. And actually, it might be an interesting topic to open to the overall audience, because it's such, in this particular moment in time, it's so salient and relevant that we step in and own this moment. Black folks, you know, we're in a precious moment in time. We have to hold people accountable in a different way. So I'm just opening to the audience or to other panelists to kind of reflect on that, because I'm not going to be satisfied with an expression of dollars.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the point of accountability. And I mean, we're booth people, right? Data, where's the data? How are you measuring it? Are you making that public? It's very, very key. So time is zooming by. We have 10 minutes left. We still have so much to cover. So I just want to let you know, probably ask about one or two more quick questions. If you have questions that you'd like to ask the panelists, please put them in the chat now, and hopefully we can get to them. So I wanna zoom in on the point about building wealth, bringing the power of our dollars together, right? We have, as Black Americans, over 1 trillion, right, in economic power. Are there maybe alternative business models that we can look at? How can we kind of support entrepreneurship, as well as corporate America, right? Because we have Black people in all spheres of business. So I just want to talk about any ideas that you all have. You know, I mentioned, Black Wall Street at the beginning. I mean, cooperative economics has been a part of the Black community years and years and years. It's a hallmark of our community. So just any thoughts on building community wealth?
And I'll just make a short point on that. And you mentioned cooperative economics, Christine. And I'll go back to the word I used discussing our other topic. Although we're talking about Black Wall Street and building wealth and things like that, we've got to start in the basics. We have a lot of brothers and sisters who, when they need a loaf of bread, will pass up a Black-owned grocery store or a Black-owned store and go to the larger grocery store. There's a large organization in Bentonville, Arkansas, that people will pass up their local baker, butcher, candle shop maker, whatever the case may be, candle shop, to get to that place, because maybe the price is a little bit better, but they don't have that personal touch. We've got to be able to not just concentrate on those who are trying to build investment firms, marketing firms, things like that, operations. Let's get to the basics: grocery stores, beauty parlors, beauty shops, and things like that. And how do we teach and nurture our own brothers and sisters on how to start at the very beginning, how to build a small business and grow using our knowledge, because we're very fortunate that we've gotten this knowledge from Booth or some folks from Kellogg or some of the other schools. We have a lot of resources to help our own people. So I don't want the discussion just to be concentrated on those who aspire to move up to the higher echelons of American business. I also think we have to work on those who aspire just to make a living.
Great point. Great point. So, final question before we have audience Q&A. We want this to be the first of many discussions, right? But I want to end with a call to action. So how do we harness our power as Black Booth alums? How do we harness our social capital, our human capital, and our financial capital? What is your call to action to the group in this Zoom room today? Let's have everyone just give a quick answer to that to wrap up, and then we can take some audience Q&A.
Yeah, Christine, I'll start. I think it's about be intentional. So too many times we have things sort of happen to us, or we just see something but may not say something. If we want to harness the power of what we have, we need to be intentional about using that, whether that is deciding. So at my firm, we've got all these things going on about caterers, and we've got a new construction going on. We've been demanding that you use a minority or women business owned entity. And then you're right, Elizabeth, we go through the same thing. Oh, I can't find one. No, because you're not looking. So let me help you look to actually get there. But we're trying to be more intentional about it. So not just saying it, but doing it. And that's the same thing if we are trying to harness the power of this whole group. Let's be intentional about that, as opposed to just getting up and going through the day. And look, I get it that we're all very busy. We're all working on different parts of our careers, whether it's trying to start a business or you've been in the game for a long period of time. But each of those requires us to be intentional if we want to see an outcome.
Hi guys, this is Ty Cameron here. I wanted to kind of offer up some help with, if this is helpful for the group. I recently just joined a company called Blavity, which is actually the largest global digital media company targeting Black millennials of color. So a lot of what the company does is do a lot to focus on empowerment with regards to people of color, their businesses, and all the different ventures in life. So if there is actually any initiatives that will help, more than happy to kind of use my new role as a vehicle to leverage what we're trying to do here. So just feel free to ping me later and I can send out my new contact information. And Lisa, I just recently started like a few weeks ago, but I can definitely do whatever I can to help out.
Thanks, Ty. Very actionable.
Can I follow up with Ty? Thank you for that introduction or the invitation rather. So let me pick up on that. It seems like at a minimum, all of the people participating in this event should be connected on LinkedIn or so. Let's start with the easy stuff. So if we could distribute a list of participants who are open to that, then I would personally want to add you immediately to my list. Second, and forgive me, Sydney, Christine, Major, if you'd already contemplated this, maybe having a structured questionnaire to follow up on this, to see where people's interests are, their willingness to engage, the amount of time they have where they'd like to spend time if they're interested. That could be a good way to galvanize some subcommittees or some activities that we don't have to micromanage, or, I think that would be a good way to follow up on this type of thing.
Can I just follow up actually on what Elizabeth said, and actually Rodney as well. Rodney was speaking about enabling and working with people in your respective companies. I'd start right here and sort of what Elizabeth was saying. The CBAA, in my experience, I've been involved with it, but not on the board or anything like that since its inception. And I have found that when we get together, it's not often enough for my taste, but when we get together, we do wonderful things. And personally, I find some of the most intelligent, pleasing, kind people, great business people, but I'll take that for granted because they're Booth alumni, but they're just good people. And I will take it upon myself to try to recognize that more when I need or know of someone who needs a resource that I might know from Booth. So I would urge all of you, again, along the lines of what Elizabeth was saying, get involved with CBAA, committee memberships, things like that. Second of all, National Black MBA Association, another organization that I've been involved with for quite a few years. And again, very dynamic MBAs that will just blow your mind as to some of their ideas, some of the things they're trying to do. They just need your assistance and you need their assistance. So join your local National Black MBA Association chapter and get involved and see how you can help other people similarly situated. And then of course in your own company, as Rodney was saying, and in other organizations, not-for-profits, joining boards as Elizabeth has done. All of those things all help. There's no one right answer, one right conduit, but if we all do something, we will see the results in the not too distant future.
What I've been thinking about, I guess, is, and I will say that this is probably the only event this Connect weekend or whatever that I have participated in. I've not been the most engaged for several reasons. But I think part of that is when I look at a lot of the content, right? Like I don't feel that I am represented in that and choose not to engage. And that's probably not the best choice. So I think I'd be interested in having a conversation around, I think, how we've all, sat here and paid tuition and paid plenty of money for the degrees that we have. Some of us may still be paying for it. And so I think I would be interested in having a conversation around, how we can have better advocacy within the larger institution.
Such a good point. I heard, let's be intentional, let's engage, let's advocate, amplify each other's voices. So in the last 1 minute that we have left, would anyone want to comment on this question about how we can leverage our influence to promote anti-racism in particular?
Speak out. You have to speak out. Speak up and speak out.
I can say it's a generational question for me. My peers and I spent so much time trying to fit in and trying not to create friction in our employment, in our workplaces, that insisting on change was we felt put our roles at risk, put our trajectory at risk. And now that I'm old, I can say this, but I hope that I'm raising my children to be more vocal and not so concerned about the consequences. But an institution that can't hear me when I say, hey, I'm being treated unfairly, or you're systematically ensuring that there are not more people like me, you need to change and I'll help you, then that's the wrong place for them. And we need to be unapologetic about that. So hopefully, and I'm emboldened by younger folks on this call and other places who are just not gonna put up with it anymore. Thank you for that.
Yes, I love it. Be unapologetic. Okay, I am a little bit shook right now. This discussion has blown my mind a little bit. I hope you all have enjoyed it, taken notes. This is just the beginning. This is just conversation one of many. We're going to keep engaging. We're going to keep advocating. We're going to continue to be intentional and create change. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to pass it back over to the CBAA board to talk a little bit more about what's coming up for CBAA so we can really lean into this call to action to engage and really use our power. So thank you all so much for letting me be a part of this.
Awesome. Can we just give another hand and round of applause to our panelist moderator? That was so amazing. I love seeing us together. Like, these are my favorite things to hop on in the Zoom fatigue. So really, really thank you for your time and wisdom there. With that being said, wanted to quickly share our announcements. First of all, we heard your cry about the CBAA swag. As you can see, we're getting it together, but we will have in the coming weeks a website where you can go and order all your sweet CBAA swag, including these beautiful polos. Panelists, don't worry, we got you. It's in the mail, it's on the way. But for everyone else, feel free to order it online, and we have other swag as well. The next thing I wanted to give a shout out to is we've also heard that folks want to get involved and we want to build this community together. There are only 7 of us on the committee. We recognize that we can't do it all. And so as a result, we are hosting a volunteer fair on May 18th. Mark your calendars. I'll also drop the link here for you to register, but Pierre said he wants more events. So I'm excited to see Pierre there so he can help us plan more great events and drop his wisdom. But yeah, really excited to see folks get involved and as we continue to build our CBAA community. I'll pass it to Hen next.
Thanks, Candace. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Candace, and thank you again to the panelists and to everyone for being here. My name is Hind Hassan. I'm a a member of the class of 2019 and also a member of the CBAA Board, as well as the D&I Alumni Task Force Fundraising Committee, which I'm so proud to be a part of. I want to briefly touch on the 2 new diversity and inclusion funds and the incredible support we've received from our community so far. Over the past year, Booth has been in conversations with many students, alumni, faculty, and staff to strengthen their work to address racism and create positive change across the many facets of the school. They put together the Diversity Inclusion Action Plan, which I'll drop the link as well. And that came out of those conversations as a step to cover a broad range of focus areas, including student admissions, curriculum, faculty, staff communications, employer engagement, and employer relations. But that's not all. With the help of alumni, including myself and my fellow classmate, Vernon Gare, and his wonderful baby, Sophia, the school launched 2 ways to designate your giving. So there's the Diversity and Inclusion Programming Fund and the Diversity Funds, the Diversity Scholarship Fund. So our committee's goal is to reach 500 donors by the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th, 2021, and to also with that raise $500,000 as a starting point. To help us get there, Dean Rajan and his wife have committed $100,000 to the D&I fund if we reach 500 donors. And so far we've already we're at 450 donors. So we're super close to meeting that 500 donor goal and unlocking that $100,000 gift. This was also propelled by during Giving Day, which was last week. One of the faculty donors, Pietro Veranzi, challenged 80 donors to donate in that 24-hour period. And since we reached that goal within only 4 hours, that unlocked an additional $80,000 gift towards the D&I fund. This is a huge deal. Like, not only did we reach that goal in 4 hours, but a quarter of all gifts that came out of Booth's Giving Day were specifically for the D&I fund. It sends a huge message just how much the alumni community cares about D&I programming and diversity scholarships. And there's a big special thanks to a lot of you who are on the call. We had about 50 and counting CBA members who donated to the funds thus far. So we're again showing that our community really cares about this. We're engaged, we're participating, and we not only want a seat at the table, but we also deserve a seat at the table. With that, we want to keep the momentum going. Again, we've only got 50 more donors away. So I would encourage you all to, if you haven't donated, please do. Any amount counts. And also, bring in your alumni classmates, not just your Black and brown classmates, but your white folks, your API folks, like everyone. Everyone really, we all know that D&I programming is really important and that it benefits everyone. You can reach out to myself as well as other task force alumni committee members such as Vernon Gare, Lawrence Flack, who's also on the call, and Ferdinand, who's our fearless leader. I'm going to drop in a few links, but just want to say thank you again for participating and for your support thus far. With that, I'm going to pass it on to Cheney.
Hi everyone. Thanks so much, Hind, for putting me on the spot. So hi everyone. Again, I am actually here to announce our mentorship program. So we've heard a lot of what some of the feedback has been around opportunities that we have as a group to sort of connect people. And so what we thought was really low-hanging fruit as a board is to really put together a mentorship matchmaking program for alumni, Black alumni, to connect with one another. The idea that this program takes is pretty much is designed to sort of match junior alumni, so folks who just recently graduated and those who are early on in their careers, with senior alumni, so those who are a lot older and are probably a lot more I guess, established in their careers, to connect with one another in a synergistic manner. So that would be, so if you think about like folks who may be in venture capital, entrepreneurship, So we would try to connect a venture capitalist with an entrepreneur, likewise, someone who may be in marketing, junior marketing role, and trying to connect those with folks who are sort of in the CMO role. And just to give you some context of this, the idea around this mentorship program isn't necessarily to match people in the same industries. We recognize that there are some alumni who may want to switch industries completely, but the goal is really to I guess, take advantage of the community that we do have. For example, folks on this call, as well as those that may not necessarily be on this call that we need to still tap into to start to begin to have conversations. So with that in mind, we are launching that program today. I will actually share a link to the program so that you could sign up as a mentor. We're looking to get mentors to the program today. So if you can actually fill out your details, we'll get back to you. CBAA will be sort of managing this process because we realize that people's times are very important. So we'll be managing the process of the signups. So we will give you more details as time comes along so that you could learn more about what we're trying to do with the mentorship program, which is, again, like I said, to connect folks with one another. So those are all my, I guess that's all the feedback that I have for you today for this program. Stay tuned, and I just posted the link on the chat, so we look forward to some of the signups that we get. Thank you.
Hey everyone, how you doing? One, thank you for having me. I am the founder, owner, operator of 40 Acres Fresh Market. 40 Acres Fresh Market is a Chicago-based grocery business with one mission, and that is to increase access to affordable fresh food in underserved communities. I want to be very clear, we are a small business. We are not a nonprofit, we are not a charity. I saw a community whose needs were not being met and saw a customer that was not being valued, and that customer looks like all of us. And simply because they live in neighborhoods that are working class with maybe higher rates of poverty, traditional grocery stores for the most part have abandoned them, forcing people to travel outside of their communities for miles often to get affordable, good quality, fresh food. So I founded 40 Acres Fresh Market in 2018 with the goal of opening a brick and mortar grocery store in the Austin community of Chicago. And I'm happy to say that after 3 years, we have purchased, so we actually own our real estate and are in the development process of building our first brick and mortar store, which is slated to open next year. In the meantime, we operate as a mobile produce vendor. We started with pop-up markets. We expanded to smaller produce stands where appropriate, as well as delivery service. And so if you live in the city of Chicago and you're trying to eat healthier, but you forget to go to the store, let us bring fresh produce to you. So I had a 40 Acres Fresh Market box delivered to me yesterday, so I want to unbox it with you guys. They come in these awesome temp control bags, and so you can see it comes with a card with my name and my preferences that I'm able to put into the order form, and it even comes with a recipe card, marinated vegetable salad. I think that's what we're going to make today. But let's unbox this. I got good head of cauliflower. It's probably about 2 or 3 pounds. 2 big, beautiful, what are these things called? Oh, green bell peppers. A pint of grape tomatoes. Organic cucumber. It's a good sized cucumber there. Some zucchini. Good sized carrot. I also got a nice big avocado. Not 1, but 2 large Honeycrisp apples. I love these. It's like biting into like apple cider. These are the best apples ever. They're my favorite. The texture is incredible with the crunch, and then they're super juicy and super sweet with a little bit of tart. And then last but not least, 2 big plums. So This was our $15 Mix It Up box that got delivered to my home in Chicago, because although we are focused on the West Side in terms of building that community's infrastructure and the permanent business there, we service the entire city of Chicago when it comes to delivery. So like I said, if you're here, order from us. Okay. Now, I pretty much pre-washed everything before this started, because who wants to take the time to do all that? And the only thing I didn't do was the cauliflower. So I'm going to quickly just run this under some sink water. And we are going to get started. So today I want to make something light. The weather's getting warmer. We're wearing less clothing. We don't want to feel all like heavy and sluggish. So eating fresh fruits and vegetables are a great way to fill up, because they have really high fiber content and water content, and give yourself a lot of energy without feeling like really weighed down. So I'm going to make this marinated vegetable salad and some lemonade. So I'm going to start with lemonade because that takes a while longer. So you're probably going to need about 10 medium to large lemons. I had smaller ones, so I had to use more. And you're going to want to cut the lemons. And you're going to want to squeeze it into your measuring cup, like so. And you're going to keep doing that until you get 1.5 cups of lemon juice. And I already have I have about 3/4 cup of lemon juice because I'm going out of town. So I don't actually want like the full pitcher of orange juice of lemonade. But if you did, you do 1.5 cups. So that is step one. Next, you're going to make yourself a simple syrup. And that requires 1 cup of water to 1 3/4 cups sugar. Now, with the simple syrup, that's a lot of sugar. So you can cut that down to decrease your sugar intake. And what you're going to do is you're simply going to pour your water into a pot like this. Pour the water in the pot. You can use simple white granulated sugar. Take your sugar. Like I said, it's about 1 3/4 cups, but if you want to cut it down to 1.5 cups or just a cup, it'll take some of the sweetness out, so it'll lower that sugar content for you. And you put it into your water. Simple. I like to use a whisk to then kind of blend it around. And then you put it on the stove. I like to do medium-low heat until you bring it to a boil. And once you do that, you take it off the heat. I put my solution, my simple syrup, into a glass when I was done with it. And then I chilled it in the refrigerator for about 1.5 hours. So I have my simple syrup ready here, as well as my lemon juice. So while your simple sugar is cooking, we're going to start with the marinated vegetable salad. So the first thing I want to make is my marinade, and I have all the ingredients for that. I need extra virgin olive oil, apple cider vinegar, Dijon mustard, you need garlic. So I got a big thing of garlic here, and a shallot. So what you do is you start with your start with your shallot, and you take a shallot like this, and you're gonna peel it. I already have a peeled one here. And you're probably only going to use about a tablespoon of shallot. And you're gonna start cutting your shallot and then dicing it super, super fine. And if you have knife cutting skills, it's just really simple. You place your hand on the top of the knife and then just kind of hunt around for all the chunks until you have about a tablespoon like this of finely diced shallot. Okay, so that's my first ingredient. Then I'm going to press some garlic into this. You can do the same type of chopping method with your garlic if you choose, but I have a garlic press, which is super simple to use. The recipe calls for like 1 clove of garlic, but I believe anytime a recipe calls for 1 clove, they mean 3. If it calls for 2 cloves, that means 6, because garlic makes the world go round. So the more garlic, the merrier. So I'm going to put 1 and 2. Well, I have to put a smaller one. I'm gonna put 2 cloves of garlic in first, and this just presses out like this. And this gives me really good crushed garlic. You can, if you're doing this at home, you can just smell the aroma of the garlic. It's gonna take a little plastic knife and chop the garlic out into my bowl for my marinade. I'm gonna give it 1 good more press. See if I can get a little bit more garlic out of that. I can smell that really well. So I'm probably gonna do, let's do 1 more clove because we love garlic. 1 more. Okay. Anybody else like cooking along with me? Hope you are. They sent out the recipe, I think beforehand, so you guys could participate. I'm having a little bit of problems with my garlic press. There we go. This should fit now. There we go. Okay. So 2 big cloves of garlic in there. It's going to be super garlicky. Then I'm going to do about, this is where cooking becomes more art than science. I'm going to use about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Vinegar can be super strong, so I like to go light on it. And then if I need some more to taste, I'll add it, but I don't want to start off too strong on the vinegar. I'm going to do a pour of the olive oil. I'm estimating like 2 tablespoons. And then last but not least, I like to do a dollop of the Dijon mustard. I'm gonna take my whisk and I'm gonna whisk that all together. And I wind up with a marinade that looks like this. And you can just let that sit so all the flavors can kind of meld together. I've had this sitting for about 3 hours now. I also want to add, I'm going to add a little bit of some seasoning to this in the form of some seasoned salt. This is from a local Chicago vendor called Pixie Dust Salts. We also sell this at 40 Acres Fresh Market because we are really big on supporting the local food economy. And so that means providing channels to other food entrepreneurs, particularly on the west side, south side of Chicago. So this is a west side based entrepreneur, and she makes these amazing salts, and she actually gets some of the herbs that she infuses into them from 40 Acres Fresh Market. Okay, so a little goes a long way. So I'm only gonna add like a half a pinch of salt to this marinade. And then I kind of like my food to have a little bit of kick to it. So I'm gonna add a small dash of paprika. And last but not least, a little bit of just regular black pepper. And once again, I'm just going to stir that around and let that sit. Okay. So now that that part's done and we have that sitting, let's check on our water. Water is boiling. Like I said, take it off the heat. You're gonna have your simple syrup now. And you're gonna take that simple syrup, wait for it to cool down, and put it into a glass or some type of refrigerators or heat safe container that can go into the refrigerator so you can cool it down a little bit quicker. All right. Now on to our veggie salad. This part, super simple. Let me get a new cutting board because I don't want everything to be marred by the taste of onions. So cauliflower is a very, very simple veggie to use. You want to take off the outer layers first. And those just snap off. If you want to, they're actually edible. So if you ever wanted to like chop those outer layers down, like into a really fine mince, you can put them into a stir fry. Cauliflower has become super popular lately because it is a really good vegetable. It's a really good vegetable that carries flavors. So I'm going to cut this bottom stalk off. And it doesn't have much taste of its own, but it absorbs flavors really, really well. And it's a really good substitute for carbohydrates. So a lot of people who are doing paleo, they'll make pizza crust with cauliflower. I'm sure you guys have all been to Trader Joe's and seen cauliflower rice. You could pretty much make that at home if you want to. So in this salad, cauliflower is our base. And really all you do is you break off your florets. I like to break off my florets to be pretty small because I like them more bite-sized. I find that like huge chunks of cauliflower, it's just a lot for me to handle. So I'm gonna do these really small. You can have them whatever size you want. If you like more cauliflower, if you want less of the stalk in it, you can just keep it to just the little heads. But there's a lot of fiber in the stalk, so I highly recommend getting a lot of the stalk in there so that you get all of the nutritional benefits of the cauliflower. So because it's just me, I'm not going to use this entire head because I can't eat that much. Wait, who am I kidding? Yes, I can. But I don't want a huge portion of this because we're going to be adding other veggies. So we're just going to put that to the side and just an easy dump of the waste into the garbage. Don't see me. I'm just throwing stuff in the garbage. Okay. Next up is our bell pepper. And what we're going to do is we are going to start dicing up our bell pepper. You're going to want to take the seeds out of your bell pepper. So I like to kind of cut the bottom off and then cut around the seeds so that this is all that's left, so there's less waste. So you see where the seeds are. This you can just like dump in the garbage. Some people cook the pepper seeds. I don't. I like bell peppers because they have like a sweeter taste to them. And you can just cut these up into bite-sized pieces like this. So I've got some bite-sized bell peppers. The next thing this recipe calls for is carrots. Now, for me, the recipe says like chop the carrots or cube the carrots. I don't really like biting into carrot. That's just a thing I have. I'm not really a fan. So what I'm going to do instead is I am going to grate my carrot so that I get shredded carrots into my salad. And so I have a grater here, and I'm just going to use this and probably do about a half a cup of carrots. And you can just drag your carrot down your grater. And if you don't have a grater, you can always use a one of those things like a peeler. A peeler will also get you shredded carrots. Or if you want to chop your carrots, that is your prerogative. Do what you feel. This is your meal. Wait, I made that rhyme. I didn't mean to do that, but yeah. Bars. Okay. So I've got my carrots in here now. Next, I want to add cucumber. Cucumber is an excellent, excellent, excellent summer fruit. Sorry, summer veggie. It's really cool. It's refreshing, has a lot of water content. People can just snack on these by themselves. So you're gonna cut your tip off, and then if you want to do them sliced, I'm gonna chop mine up into cubes to fit with the consistency of the other items that are in there. So just gonna cube up some cucumbers. Really quick cubing. And I think the great thing about this meal is that, one, if you don't use all of your veggies at one time, you can always throw them in your crisper, and they'll still stay good for probably another week. So you can make this meal over and over again if you're only making a single portion, or you can use the whole thing, very little waste, and feed the entire family. So we're gonna throw some cukes in there. This is smelling really, really good. I love the smell of cucumbers. Do you wanna know why? Because it reminds me of that cucumber melon Bath and Body Works lotion. I wore that all the time in high school thinking I was really doing something. I wasn't, but couldn't tell me nothing. And then last but not least, grape tomatoes. And I'm gonna just put these in whole because I don't like a lot of like tomato gunk everywhere. So I'm gonna put probably like 8 to 10 in there. And then I'm going to take my, where did it go? Where did it go? I just had it. I'm gonna take my marinade, found it. Take my marinade. I'm gonna pour it, the whole thing, pour the whole thing over my salad. And I'm gonna mix it all together. I'm gonna mix the marinade, the veggies, cauliflower, and I think I'm gonna use just a little bit more cauliflower, just because I think that's more of a base, and I want a little bit more pop of that color in here. One of the things about veggies is that to make sure that you're getting your, your 5 servings a day, a great way to do that is to make sure you're getting a whole bunch of different colors. So you have, in here you have green, and you have red, and you have orange, and you have white, and they all come together with all these different nutrients. Like the carrot has beta carotene, which is a form of vitamin A, very good for eyesight. As we get older, can't see anything. And there you go. And you have a very delicious and nutritious summer salad. And to top it off, we're just gonna combine our ingredients for our lemonade. Got a cute little picture here. So first, we're gonna put in our lemon juice. We're gonna add our simple syrup. And then, so the recipe, if you're making a full pitcher, calls for an additional 7 cups of water. I got 3.5 cups right here. Just gonna pour into this. I'm gonna add some ice cubes in here. Cool it down. And then I'm going to give it a stir. Put the top on. You can do this in any pitcher. Grab a glass. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Oh, damn, that's good. And for your salad, you can either eat it right away or cover it, put it in the fridge for about 2 to 4 hours or even overnight. The longer that the marinade sits in the vegetables, the more flavor they get. Or if you're like me and you're hungry, just, you know, grab a forkful and eat it right away. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's really good. So every single 40 Acres Fresh Market produce box comes with a recipe card just like this, with some of the ingredients already in the box. And you can usually find the rest of them in during your local grocery store trip, or oftentimes items that you already have in the house, like garlic and onions, etc. So yeah, I'm open to any questions, comments, concerns. It was wonderful cooking with you all.
Thank you, Liz. That looks delicious.
So good.
And you are so well prepared too. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for telling us a little bit more about your business. I don't know, I know we're a little bit over time. If anyone had questions, or I'm happy to hand it back to Candace to close us out.
I haven't seen any questions in the comments, but happy to forward any questions, and we'll share all of everyone's contact info as well as some of the links we shared, such as the D&I Action Plan, the D&I Funds, and get folks sharing the LinkedIn. But first of all, I want to say thank you all so much for your time. We understand in Zoom fatigue is precious, and so we do appreciate the community coming together. And also just thank everyone for sharing today. Look forward to seeing you at our next event, again, May 18th. Join our volunteer board, also join our mentorship board. And thank you again to the amazing panelists and our moderator. To that, I hope that everyone has an amazing Sunday.
I also want to throw a big shout out to the CBAA Reconnect Planning Committee, which was Candace, Major, and Sydney. They planned this whole thing, just the 3 of them. They brought everyone together. It was flawless. It's one of the best like Zoom and just CBA events I've ever seen. Major props to these 3 amazing people. Thank you.
Thank you.